Why do weak people hate mental discipline? Because it exposes everything they try to hide: insecurity, laziness, fear. It's not the difficulty they fear, it's the mirror. Not everyone resists it because it's hard. Some resist it because it reveals how weak they truly are. They don't reject the system, they reject the reflection. Mental discipline doesn't imprison you. It reveals whether you're already a prisoner of your mind, your impulses, your comfort zone. 1. Mental discipline is power. Mental discipline isn't just a habit, it's a weapon. A sharp, silent weapon, forged in discomfort, tempered by repetition, and wielded by those who refuse to be controlled. Weak people crave ease, strong minds crave structure, because structure is what separates power from chaos. Without mental discipline, you're not thinking, you're reacting. You're not in control, you're being controlled. Most people live like puppets, pulled by emotions, manipulated by urges, dominated by distractions. They think freedom means doing whatever they want, but that's not freedom, that's addiction disguised as liberty. Real power is the opposite. It's the ability to do what must be done, especially when you don't feel like it. That's what breaks you from the crowd. That's what makes you untouchable. Mental discipline builds internal dominance. It teaches you to delay gratification, to ignore noise, to master your emotions instead of obeying them. And once you master that, no one can touch you, because the strongest force is the one no one sees, the one that rules silently from within. 2. Weak minds. Crave comfort, not growth. Weak minds don't hate discipline because it's hard. They hate it because it makes them uncomfortable, not physically, mentally. It forces them to confront their flaws, their lack of focus, their inability to stay committed. That's the real pain. The pain of facing who you really are when the noise fades. So they reject anything that reminds them of their weakness. They mock discipline. They ridicule structure. They call self-control toxic. But here's the truth. They don't hate discipline. They hate feeling inferior next to someone who has it. Because when you show restraint, you expose their chaos. When you move with purpose, you highlight their confusion. When you choose discomfort for the sake of growth, you remind them how little they've evolved. And so they cling to comfort. They idolize ease. They worship convenience. But comfort doesn't change you. It sedates you. It makes you passive, predictable, weak. Growth never happens in comfort. It happens in resistance. It happens in friction. It happens when you choose pain over pleasure, purpose over pleasure, power over ease. And that's why most people never rise. Not because they can't, but because they won't. They choose comfort over conquest, and then wonder why their life feels empty. 3. The slave mentality reversed. They say mental discipline makes you a slave, but here's the truth. Most people are already slaves, not to others, but to themselves. Slaves to emotions, slaves to urges, slaves to distractions, validation, and cheap dopamine. They scroll endlessly. They chase every impulse. They obey every craving without question. That's not freedom. That's internal captivity. Because if your mind can't say no, you're not in control. You're being controlled. They think discipline is the cage, but comfort is the real prison. Soft routines, easy choices, instant gratification. These are the invisible chains that keep people mediocre, and most never notice. Because the prison feels warm, it feels familiar, It feels safe. But safety isn't power, it's sedation. The real danger isn't being controlled by a system. It's being ruled by your own weaknesses. That's why the disciplined man is feared. Because he isn't just free. He's untouchable. He doesn't need to be pushed. He moves on command, his own. He doesn't wait for motivation. He acts from structure. And that kind of control terrifies people who have none. So they call it toxic. They call it extreme, because it reminds them how deeply enslaved they truly are. 4. Pain is the gatekeeper of power. People fear pain, but pain is not the enemy. Pain is the filter. It separates the driven from the distracted, the disciplined from the desperate, the powerful from the passive. Most people avoid it, they numb it, they run from it. But every time you run from pain, you run from power, because pain is the gatekeeper. No one reaches strength without first facing suffering. No one unlocks mastery without enduring pressure. Pain is the price you pay to evolve. The truth is brutal. You will not grow in comfort. You will not transform without resistance. Your body grows under tension, so does your mind. Discomfort is not a punishment. It's a test. It's the fire that burns away weakness, the pressure that reveals what's real. You don't find your strength when things are easy. You find it when everything inside you wants to quit, but you don't. That's when your identity is forged. And that's why most people stay average, because they escape the moment things get heavy. They never face the mirror long enough to see what they're made of. But pain doesn't lie. It exposes the truth. It breaks the illusion of who you think you are, and forces you to meet who you really are. So if you want to rise, don't ask for comfort. Ask for pressure. Ask for fire. Ask for trials. Because when you train your mind to endure pain, you train it to dominate reality. And when others break, you remain unshaken. That's the difference between those who survive and those who ascend. 5. The strategy of mental supremacy. Power without structure is chaos. Discipline without direction is noise. If you want real mental supremacy, you need a system, not just motivation. Because motivation fades, systems don't. Here's the framework. 3 layers of mental supremacy. Layer 1, razor-sharp thinking. No fluff, no confusion. You must train your mind to think with precision. Cut through distractions, eliminate emotional noise, and question everything that weakens your clarity. Clarity is power. Ambiguity is vulnerability. Your thoughts must become weapons. Clean, cold, exact. Layer 2, silent discipline. The strongest men move in silence. They don't broadcast routines. They don't seek applause. They build in the shadows and strike with purpose. Discipline isn't loud. It's cold repetition. It's doing what others won't, consistently, without needing recognition. Because power is never announced, it's felt. Layer 3, emotional command. This is where most people fail. They let emotions lead. You must do the opposite. Observe emotion, then respond strategically. Feelings are not facts. Reaction is not power. Control your response, and you control the room, even if you say nothing. Together, these 3 layers form your core. They make you unfuckwithable. A man who cannot be shaken, manipulated, or mentally invaded. Because supremacy isn't about domination over others. It's about total command over yourself. And the man who masters himself needs no permission to move, no validation to act, no approval to win. 6. The real reason. They call it toxic. You've heard it before. That mindset is toxic. That discipline is too extreme. That level of control is unhealthy. But here's the truth. They don't say that because it's toxic. They say it because it threatens their weakness. Your strength offends them. Your silence intimidates them. Your structure exposes their chaos. So instead of rising to meet the standard, they try to drag the standard down. They label it toxic so they can stay fragile without guilt. They demonize power so they can feel comfortable in powerlessness. But real toxicity isn't strength. It's the glorification of weakness. It's the celebration of mediocrity. It's the cult of emotional sensitivity, disguised as compassion. You set boundaries, they call you cold. You stay focused, they call you detached. You speak with precision, they call you arrogant because they can't match it, so they shame it. That's how society protects the fragile, by vilifying the strong. But here's the brutal truth. They don't hate you. They hate what you represent: control, power, discipline. You remind them of what they gave up. You remind them of who they could have been if they had chosen the harder path. So let them call it toxic. Let them talk. Because while they speak, you rise. And while they doubt, you dominate. 7. Own the discipline, control the game. This world doesn't reward the loudest. It rewards the most controlled, the one who owns his time, his thoughts, his energy, and discipline is the foundation of that control. You don't need more motivation. You need fewer excuses. You need a system, a standard, a level that doesn't bend just because you feel tired, because most people wait for life to change. While the disciplined man rewires himself to rise, no matter the condition, no matter the mood, no matter the noise. That's why discipline is not a cage. It's a throne. It's not about restriction. It's about command. And once you own that, you don't chase power. You attract it. So let them stay comfortable. Let them call it toxic. Let them mock the grind. But while they talk, you build. While they rest, you rise. And while they hesitate, you control the game. If you're still here, you already know you're not like most people. Most scroll, most quit, most avoid the work, but you stayed. Because something in you refuses to stay average. So take that edge, sharpen it, build your system, own your discipline, and control the game. Subscribe now. This is not just content. This is training for the mind most people fear. If this video hits something deeper in you, you're ready for the next level. Watch this next dash. How to become mentally untouchable. The 7 laws of inner power. It's not for everyone, but if you're still listening, it's exactly for you.